In the quiet hours where the wind whispers secrets, I stand beneath the same sky that once heard our laughter. The stars do not twinkle tonight, they only stare, as if they too remember the promises we made. Your name moves through my chest like an unfinished prayer. A sound too sacred to be forgotten. A memory too heavy to be carried lightly. Once, your presence filled the silence between my breaths. Now, that silence has grown into a storm. I remember the way your eyes held entire worlds. Soft galaxies where my soul found shelter. Every glance from you was a verse. Every smile a poem that time itself could not write. You were not just someone I loved. You were the heartbeat behind my every word. We walked through gardens of golden light. Hands intertwined like destiny's own design. The air around us used to hum with warmth, as if the universe leaned closer to listen. But love, fragile and fierce, sometimes trembles in its own beauty. And when it does, it breaks without sound. I watched the seasons change within you. Spring turned to autumn without a warning. And the laughter we shared began to fade like distant echoes. You stopped looking at me the way you once did. The stars noticed first, then my heart followed. Each night I replay the moment when everything shifted. A single conversation, a lingering silence. A glance that did not return home to my eyes. I reached for you, but you were already walking away. Even if your feet had not yet moved. The moon became my confidant. I whispered to it the questions you left unanswered. Why does love bloom so fiercely only to wither without mercy? Why does the heart build castles only to see them crumble? The moon gave no reply. But its cold light rested gently on my trembling hands. I carry your absence like a weight across my shoulders. An invisible cloak stitched with memories. The scent of your hair, the warmth of your touch. The way your voice softened my anger, all linger. Time tries to erode them. But some memories are carved in places time cannot reach. If I could turn back the clock, I would hold you longer beneath that fading sun. I would memorize your face the way rivers memorize their banks. I would tell you the words I left unsaid. The ones that now claw at my throat in the dark. But love is not a story that rewinds. It moves forward like a relentless tide, pulling everything familiar into the unknown. And here I stand, alone, watching the shoreline where we once built our dreams wash away under the weight of a silent sea. My heart is an unfinished letter. Every beat is a line you never got to read. Every tear is a punctuation mark where love once flourished. I am both the poet and the poem. But without you, the meaning has dissolved into mist. The nights grew longer after you left. Time, once a soft river, became a desert where every second burned. I wandered through it barefoot, carrying the fragments of our love like fragile glass. Every step hurt, but I kept walking, because stopping meant facing the silence you left behind. The places we once walked together became haunted corridors of memory. A cafe where you laughed until tears ran down your cheeks. A bench beneath the old tree where our hands first met. Even the breeze carried your voice, faint but familiar. Like a song drifting from another room. I tried to forget you in small ways. I folded away the photographs. Hid the letters in boxes I told myself I'd never open again. But love is not a thing you bury once. It is a vine that grows through every wall you build. It found its way back through the cracks of my resolve. I spoke your name in whispers at first, testing the way it still felt on my tongue. Then louder, when the loneliness became too heavy. Your name filled the room like smoke. And I breathed it in even though it burned my lungs. I asked the night why it was so cruel. Why did it give me stars if it meant to take away the light in your eyes? The wind had no answer, it only pressed against my chest. As if trying to remind me that even emptiness has a rhythm. I began to write letters I would never send. Each one started with hope and ended with tears. I told you how the world had changed without you. The sunrise felt pale. The birds sang out of tune. And even the rain didn't fall the way it used to. I told you how my heart had become a library of unfinished chapters. Every page smelled of you. Every line carried the echo of our last goodbye. Sometimes I wondered if you felt the same pull. If somewhere, in another silent night, you too whispered my name into the dark. Dreams became my only refuge. There, you were still beside me. Your hand brushed mine as if nothing had ever broken. Your eyes still held that soft promise that everything would be okay. But morning always came like a thief, stealing you away just when I reached out to hold you. I walked through crowded streets feeling alone. Surrounded by faces, none of them yours. Surrounded by voices, none of them calling my name the way you did. I saw strangers smile, and I envied them. Not for what they had, but for what I had lost. I tried to convince myself that love was meant to teach, not to last. That heartbreak was a chapter, not the entire book. But some lessons carve deeper than others. Some loves are not meant to fade into the background. They become the landscape against which all future moments are measured. I remember the night I finally whispered, "You're gone." It wasn't a scream, not a cry, just a quiet acceptance. The stars seemed to dim, as if bowing their heads with me. I sat there for hours, letting the truth settle like snow over everything I once knew. Yet even in acceptance, your presence lingered. Like the scent of rain after the